Patrice,
Yes.
what would you say is a pitfall for a lot of singers?
There's a lot. I think just like any growing, learning process, you know, everyone has their insecurities regardless of where they're at. So there's many things that I've coached people on throughout the years, and kind of some of the staples that keep coming up. You know, just have to keep working through them. But one of the staples I would say that I continually work with vocalists on is the idea of finding their range. Knowing that that can expand. Like, mine has dramatically changed from when I started till now. And I've watched hundreds of artists do the same, that their range has expanded. That doesn't happen though. I think there's a falsity. It's not gonna like, oh, I'm gonna go on voice lessons and in the next month, I'm all of a sudden gonna jump from being able to, I have a keyboard here, but like, you know, all of a sudden I'm singing 5 notes higher. You know, that's something that happens through time. And so I think it's really important that people embrace where their range is at and then work it like half-step increments out. And sometimes that lower end or the higher end may not go too much further. I would say if they've never had training and they're really starting to utilize their voice, that you're going to see growth in either end of that by a couple notes. But that being said, you know, one thing is just to really hone in on like your natural range, where it's at right now, and then the idea like, okay, great, I'm not going to try and jump from here to here. I'm going to take that half-step increments and work on that end of it. And then not freak out or put so much attention on like, oh my God, I can't hit these high notes from the singers that I love. Like, there's so much emphasis on high notes. And I know, we want to get there. I like hitting a nice high note. I totally get it. But some of these lower rich notes, those mid notes there, they can be equally beautiful. So if that's where you sit, stop invalidating yourself because you feel like you can't hit Mariah, you can't have whistle tones, or you're not belting out like, who would be, I don't know, Ariana Grande, right? So like, don't do that to yourself. It puts pressure. And the second you start to put the pressure on yourself, you sometimes degress. So you go the other way because you're putting so much on yourself. Your body, when you stress, just like contracts, right? And it tightens things, and that doesn't help. We need to be nice and relaxed and open. And yeah, all that stuff. Drop a DM if you need a little help with some of the vocal stuff. DM or comment below. But yeah, you don't want to be sitting there, you know, all stressed out and because you can't hit high notes, or you feel like you can't hit high notes. So that's what I'd say on that end. I kind of went all over the place in this one, but like, I would not hone in on, oh my God, I can't be hitting these high notes like these people. Focus in on your range. Know that there's beauty in the lower, mid-range, high range, whatever it is. Or sometimes people can sing really high and they have to struggle with low notes, vice versa. But yeah, I think a lot of times there's so much emphasis on the high notes and people feel like they can't be a singer because they can't hit these Ariana Grande type notes, and that's just a falsity, because look at the number of singers that don't hit those notes who have been highly successful. I mean, Taylor Swift is a great example of someone, when you really look at when she started to where she is now, her range has dramatically increased. Her jumping around from the low notes to the high notes. When you look at that first album, she's not going too crazy. A lot of times people who are starting, it's like good starting songs. Halsey's another great example of a singer who doesn't go too crazy, right? She stays in this lane and she's had a lot of hits. You know, going way back, you could look at Bob Dylan, not really a singer. Wonderful songwriter, had a great career, right? So I mean, you have to think about, there's a lot of moving parts there, and I would say people more connect with the quality of your voice your style, how you're singing, because the average person, believe it or not, is not sitting there with a piano in front of them and going, that is this note, and that is that note, and this is the value of this person based off of that there. Experts could sit there and be like, oh, cool, this person has range, but I would say anyone in this field would understand that there's so many different things that go into having a successful career as a singer, and vocals and how high you can sing is not one of them. So yeah, so keep that in mind for yourself. Don't value yourself based on how high you can go. It's what you can do now.